What if the universe had whispered a warning long before humanity could hear it? A warning not shouted, but carried in the silence between the stars. Above Earth, the night sky spreads like a boundless ocean. It glimmers with constellations that seem eternal, yet every flicker hides a history of fire, collapse, and rebirth. To the human eye, it feels tranquil. To the mind, it feels infinite. But to the instruments that now probe the heavens, the silence is never complete. It is threaded with signals, faint patterns, and wandering objects that slip across the border between known and unknown. In recent memory, something entered this ocean from beyond. An interstellar voyager that did not belong to the sun, yet brushed against its light. Astronomers called it Three-Eye Atlas. It was the third interstellar object ever discovered. A fragment of another star's story, flung across light years and set adrift into our solar system. Its presence was brief, but its meaning heavy. A messenger, or perhaps an omen. Its path was not like the orbits carved by familiar comets. It carried no history tied to our planets. It arrived unannounced, moved with a freedom that betrayed no allegiance, then continued on its way. Was this a random encounter, nothing more than celestial chance? Or was there order hidden in the mathematics of its motion, waiting for human eyes to notice? Some whisper that the warning had always been there, inscribed in the myths of ancient skies, or buried in forgotten data sets. Now humanity stands still, caught between awe and dread, listening for what the cosmos may be trying to say. In the spring of 2019, a faint trace of light was caught by a network of robotic eyes stationed high on the volcanic slopes of Hawaii. These were the Atlas telescopes, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, designed to watch the heavens for threats to Earth. Their mission was to find wandering rocks that might one day fall upon our fragile world. But on this night, they found something stranger. The signal was weak, almost lost in the background glow. A moving point of light, insignificant against the sprawl of constellations. Yet its motion betrayed a secret. When astronomers began to chart its path, the equations told them it was no ordinary visitor. Its trajectory was not closed, not bound to the sun. It did not loop or circle as planets and comets do. Instead, it traced a hyperbolic arc, the unmistakable signature of something arriving from beyond. This object would be named Three-Eye Atlas, the third interstellar body ever recorded by human eyes. Its discovery came only 2 years after ʻOumuamua, that mysterious shard whose cigar-like shape defied easy explanation. And not long after, the comet 2I Borisov, a more familiar-looking emissary that nonetheless carried the frost of another star. Together, these three became milestones in astronomy. They showed that the galaxy was not a closed system, but a sea of exchange, where fragments of distant suns could drift into our skies. The data revealed that Three-Eye Atlas was rushing through the solar system at tens of kilometers per second, a speed far too great to be captured by the sun's gravity. Like a stone cast across a pond, it would slice through and then vanish into darkness again. Its path was certain. It had come from the deep interstellar void, and it would return there. Humanity had only a fleeting moment to watch. To scientists, this was both exhilarating and unsettling. Each new interstellar object brought with it the promise of knowledge, but also the sting of limitation. They could not be reached, only observed as they slipped away. Telescopes strained to capture every photon, every spectral clue. Their light curves, their fading trails, all became precious relics of a cosmic story written light years away. The Atlas system itself was designed for urgency. Perched at Haleakala on Maui and Mauna Loa on the Big Island, its twin telescopes scanned the night sky repeatedly, wide-field lenses sweeping for movement against the still backdrop of stars. To detect Three-Eye Atlas among the noise was like hearing a single whisper in a storm. Yet when its orbit was computed, the conclusion was inescapable. This was not one of ours. The discovery raised questions that burned as fiercely as any star. Where had it come from? Was it cast out from a collapsing system, perhaps from a binary star's violent dance? Was it a fragment of a shattered planet, or the icy debris of a long-dead cometary cloud? Its brightness hinted at a body breaking apart, possibly fragile, perhaps already disintegrating as it felt the heat of the sun. But its true origin remained veiled. On Earth, the news traveled quickly through the astronomical community. The word interstellar alone carried a weight of wonder. For centuries, the cosmos had been studied as if the solar system were its own island. Now, within a span of just a few years, humanity had confirmed that it was not isolated at all. Visitors could arrive at any time, and their journeys would always be older and grander than our histories. The emotions it stirred were complex. For some, there was exhilaration. To witness something that had drifted across unimaginable distances was to feel connected to the galaxy itself. For others, there was unease. If such objects could pass through unseen until the last moment, what else might approach from the dark, unnoticed until too late? The very system built to guard against impacts had found something that defied its design. Not a threat, but a reminder that Earth is not apart from the cosmos, but immersed within it. As telescopes across the globe turned their gaze to this fading traveler, every spectrum and every measurement became a fragile window into the unknown. Time was short. Interstellar objects move fast. Their visits measured in weeks and months, not years. Already the arc of 3I Atlas carried it away, slipping past Mars, threading through the outer planets, and then back into interstellar night. The narrative of its arrival was not only scientific, it was also philosophical. Here was a body that did not belong, a stranger that crossed the solar system without invitation. Its orbit obeyed only the larger laws of gravity and motion, yet its sudden presence awakened a deeper tension. If the galaxy was filled with such wanderers, how many stories had passed by unnoticed? How many silent emissaries had brushed past Earth before humans had eyes to see them? The discovery of 3I Atlas was more than an entry in a catalog. It was a moment of confrontation. A reminder that the solar system is porous, that the boundaries of the sun's domain are not walls but open shores. Across those shores drift relics of ancient systems, perhaps carrying the dust of alien worlds, the chemistry of unknown skies, or the echoes of long-vanished suns. To stand beneath the night sky and know this is to feel both small and significant. Small because Earth is just one harbor along a coastline too vast to measure. Significant because for the first time in its history, humanity has the tools to notice when a fragment of that larger sea arrives. The Atlas survey had been built to protect, yet in doing so, it had revealed a messenger from beyond. The stranger had come. It would not stay. But in its passing, it left behind a message written not in words but in mathematics and light. A message that said, "You are not alone in this exchange. The universe is in motion, and its wanderers will continue to arrive one by one from the deep." The night sky has never been silent. It has always been speaking, though humanity has struggled to learn its language. Long before the arrival of 3I Atlas, there were whispers, signs that something was changing in the way the cosmos revealed itself. In 2017, a shard entered the solar system, moving too swiftly to belong to the sun. Astronomers called it ʻOumuamua, a messenger from afar arriving first. It was the first interstellar object ever seen. Its discovery cracked open a door that had remained sealed for all of human history. ʻOumuamua was unlike anything expected. It was small, perhaps only 100 meters in length, yet its brightness shifted in ways that hinted at an elongated, tumbling body. Some imagined a cigar, others a pancake, a flat shard of some long-shattered world. What unsettled scientists most was not its shape, but its motion. As it moved away from the sun, it accelerated slightly, as though pushed by a force unseen. No tail of vaporous gas betrayed the hand of a comet. No engine revealed an artificial origin. only silence and a trajectory that resisted simple explanation. The debates linger still. Some argued for icy outgassing too subtle to see. Others, including Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb, wondered aloud whether it might be a fragment of technology, a solar sail abandoned by another civilization. Regardless of interpretation, the effect was the same. Humanity had been forced to imagine that interstellar visitors were not only possible, but real. 2 years later, as if to emphasize the point, another traveler appeared. This one was clearer, brighter, more familiar. Comet 2I Borisov, discovered by amateur astronomer Gennady Borisov in August of 2019, bore the unmistakable features of a comet: a nucleus shedding gas and dust, a luminous tail stretching into space. Its chemistry, observed through spectrographs, showed water, carbon monoxide, and cyanide. It was alien, but in a strangely comforting way. Here was proof that other planetary systems produced comets much like our own. The cosmos in its vastness was repeating itself. Together, ʻOumuamua and Borisov acted as harbingers. They conditioned the scientific community to expect the unexpected. By the time 3I Atlas was spotted in 2019, astronomers were no longer asking whether interstellar objects existed. That question had been answered. The new question was whether humanity would be ready to interpret what such visitors might mean. This readiness was not only scientific, but deeply cultural. Across centuries, humanity had read the sky not merely as a chart of navigation, but as a theater of signs. To the ancients, comets were omens. They blazed suddenly into the heavens, unpredicted, untethered to the steady clockwork of the stars. To those who lived without telescopes, they were interruptions in the divine order. A sudden torch held above the earth, a herald of upheaval, war, or death. Chinese records, Babylonian tablets, and medieval chronicles all speak of comets as messages from the gods. Warnings carved into light. Johannes Kepler, writing in the 17th century, treated comets as celestial exiles, hurled across the heavens like sparks from the forge of creation. Isaac Newton, with his laws of motion and gravity, stripped them of divine origin but gave them no less wonder. He revealed that comets were bound by the same mechanics that guide the planets. Yet he also showed that some possessed paths so elongated or so steeply hyperbolic that they might come only once in 1,000 lifetimes, or perhaps only once, never to return. In this light, 3I Atlas did not arrive without precedent. It entered a lineage of awe, suspicion, and wonder. Humanity had always looked upward with a mix of fear and reverence. The difference now was not the emotion, but the tools. Modern astronomy could trace an orbit with precision, measure a spectrum across billions of kilometers, and compute a trajectory long before the object left human sight. Yet the deeper tension remained the same. Was this a warning? And if so, from whom? The idea of warnings is itself a reflection of human nature. The universe does not speak in words. It does not shape events for human comprehension. A fragment like ʻOumuamua or Borisov or Atlas is neither sent nor aimed. It is cast by chance, the byproduct of celestial mechanics unfolding over billions of years. Yet to the mind that searches for meaning, such arrivals feel deliberate. They are read as signs, as though the cosmos itself were offering reminders of both our vulnerability and our connection to a wider galactic order. This tension grows sharper when history is recalled. The great comet of 1066, blazing in the sky, was remembered as a portent of conquest, a sign that would become stitched into the Bayeux tapestry alongside the fall of Anglo-Saxon rule. The comets of antiquity were seen as messengers of plague or famine, shaping decisions of kings and generals. They were not scientific curiosities, but catalysts of fear and change. In the present, science no longer sees comets as omens, yet the echo of that old dread lingers. When ʻOumuamua slipped through, the unease it provoked was not only about its physics. It was about its strangeness. Its refusal to be neatly classified awakened a primal instinct that the heavens had once again delivered a message. Borisov followed like a balancing note, reassuring with its familiar cometary cloak. Then came Atlas, fragile and possibly fragmenting, carrying the reminder that not all visitors remain intact under the gaze of the sun. Were these arrivals random, or were they the shaping of perspective itself? Perhaps the warnings come not from the objects, but from history. Each generation reads the sky through its own lens. To the ancients, comets revealed divine will. To the age of Newton, they revealed the hidden laws of motion. To the modern era, they reveal our place in a galaxy alive with movement, where isolation is an illusion. In this sense, ʻOumuamua and Borisov prepared the human imagination for Atlas. They softened the ground, forced scientists and philosophers alike to expand their frameworks. Without ʻOumuamua, Atlas might have been dismissed as a mere curiosity, a dying comet wandering too far from its home. Without Borisov, the confirmation of interstellar origins might have lacked the gravity of repetition. Together, they ensured that when Atlas appeared, its presence was not ignored. It was recognized for what it was, another voice in a growing chorus of interstellar wanderers. The philosophical weight of this realization is profound. For most of history, the solar system was thought of as a sealed environment. Its planets and comets and asteroids belonged to a single family, born of the same disk of dust and gas, enclosed by the sun's gravity. Now that illusion is gone. The solar system is open. Its boundaries are porous. Interstellar fragments can arrive at any moment, brushing past Earth with indifference. In their silence, they remind humanity that it is not only a participant in the story of the sun, but a witness to the stories of countless other stars. This shift in perception is a kind of preparation. Not preparation for disaster, necessarily, but for humility. The arrival of ʻOumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas has begun to train the human mind to think galactically. To imagine a sky not as a fixed dome, but as a crossroads of paths stretching from star to star. Each visitor is a reminder that the cosmos is not distant, but interactive. It exchanges matter as easily as wind carries seeds. The echoes of the past are clear. Ancient myths warned of upheaval when comets appeared. Science revealed the mechanics behind their journeys. Now, the 21st century blends both visions, interpreting interstellar arrivals as both scientific data and philosophical reflection. The warning, if it exists, does not come from the object. It comes from history itself. A voice that whispers, "You have always been vulnerable, always been connected, always been watched by a sky that does not belong to you alone." So, were we prepared for Atlas? In a sense, yes. Not by design, but by accumulation. By the slow unfolding of a human tradition that has always sought meaning in the heavens. By ʻOumuamua's riddle, Borisov's reassurance, and centuries of stories that framed celestial arrivals as more than chance. Each object trained humanity to see the next with wider eyes. Each encounter expanded the horizon of expectation. Atlas did not arrive into a void of comprehension. It arrived into a lineage of echoes. The echoes of fear, the echoes of wonder, the echoes of science and myth interwoven. Humanity had been prepared not by certainty, but by experience. Prepared to ask, once again, whether the visitor was mere debris or something more. Prepared to stand between awe and dread, knowing that the cosmos would always continue to send its silent messengers, one after another, across the gulf of interstellar night. From the very beginning, the warning was not written in fire across the sky. It was written in numbers. When astronomers traced the path of Three-Eye Atlas against the canvas of stars, the data revealed a truth as cold as it was profound. Its orbit was not closed. Its eccentricity was greater than 1. These are the signatures of the unbound, the unmistakable fingerprints of an interstellar origin. Orbital mechanics is a language older than telescopes, older than steel domes rising against the night. It is the mathematics of motion, the grammar of the heavens. Every object that circles the sun, from Mercury's swift revolution to Pluto's slow crawl, speaks this language through curves of ellipses. To describe such paths, astronomers use eccentricity, a number that tells how stretched an orbit is. A perfect circle has a value of 0. An ellipse falls between 0 and 1. A parabola at the edge of capture equals exactly 1. Anything beyond that boundary with eccentricity greater than 1 is not bound at all. It is hyperbolic, a trajectory that does not return. But Atlas carried an eccentricity far above that limit. Its path sliced through the solar system like an arrow, straightened by speed, refusing the pull of the sun. To the human eye, it appeared only as a point of light, dim and flickering. But to the equations, it was an intruder from the deep. The numbers made it undeniable. There was another clue: velocity. Astronomers speak of hyperbolic excess velocity, the speed an object still holds after escaping the sun's gravitational well. For anything born within this system, that value cannot rise too high. Comets fall inward, accelerate, and then, if they are not captured, drift away again at modest speeds. But 3I Atlas exceeded those limits. Its excess velocity was not the inheritance of the sun. It was the memory of another star. The equations flagged it instantly. Before emotions, before speculation, before headlines, there was the silent clarity of numbers. The mathematics of celestial mechanics had given the first warning. There is something haunting in this. Humanity did not need myth or omen to know the visitor was foreign. The omen was embedded in eccentricity, in velocity, in the cold elegance of Newton's laws. Centuries earlier, Isaac Newton had written that the same force pulling an apple to the ground governed the fall of the moon, the orbits of the planets, the sweep of comets. He gave the world a universal key, and with it, the ability to tell what belonged and what did not. 3I Atlas could not hide from this key. Its numbers betrayed its story, and yet there is an almost prophetic quality to such equations. They do not predict in the way myths once did. They do not say what will happen tomorrow or why, but they reveal the boundaries of the possible. They whisper in their precise way. If eccentricity is greater than 1, then the object is unbound. If velocity exceeds the escape of the sun, then the journey began elsewhere. These are not predictions of fortune, but revelations of truth. To some, this is where the warning lies. Not in a conscious signal, but in the very structure of mathematics itself. The cosmos writes in geometry. Humanity reads, and in reading, understands that something alien has passed by. Einstein expanded this language further. Where Newton saw forces, Einstein saw curves. He described space-time as a fabric, bent by the presence of mass. Planets orbit not because they are tugged, but because they follow paths along this curvature, rolling like marbles in invisible grooves. Interstellar objects like Atlas do not merely defy the sun's grip. They trace paths that cut across the fabric of space-time itself, carrying the imprint of the systems they left behind. Their hyperbolic journeys are scars across the geometry of the solar system, proof that they belong to another part of the cosmic tapestry. This fusion of Newton and Einstein creates a vision at once mathematical and poetic. In equations, eccentricity becomes more than a number. It becomes a measure of belonging. Less than 1, the object is kin to the sun, a family member in its eternal dance. Greater than 1, it is a stranger, an exile, a traveler destined never to return. Hyperbolic excess velocity becomes a memory of elsewhere, a momentum inherited from other stars, other worlds, other gravities long forgotten. To the astronomers who studied 3I Atlas, these numbers were both comfort and disquiet. Comfort because they made sense of the anomaly. Disquiet because they stripped away the illusion of isolation. If equations could reveal this so quickly, then the truth must be that the galaxy is filled with such wanderers. Each star with its planets and comets sheds fragments. Each fragment becomes a traveler, flung outward to drift for millions of years. The solar system is not immune. It is a crossroads in this galactic exchange. The warning, then, is mathematical inevitability. If 3 such objects have been found in only a few years, how many pass unnoticed? How many slip through without glinting against the lenses of telescopes? The probability grows daunting. Numbers again deliver their message. Interstellar objects are not rare. They are common, and their paths will continue to cross ours. But here lies a deeper reflection. When humanity interprets such numbers, it is not only performing science, it is also reaching for meaning. To speak of eccentricity is to measure the strangeness of an orbit. To speak of velocity is to measure the memory of a journey. These are scientific facts, but they resonate with a symbolic weight. They tell stories of belonging and exile, of capture and freedom, of the thin boundaries between what is ours and what is not. Perhaps the cosmos does not warn. Perhaps it simply is. Yet the human mind, tuned by millennia of searching for signs, cannot help but interpret mathematics as prophecy. Equations become omens. Graphs become messages. Numbers become whispers from the deep. Atlas, with its hyperbolic path, echoed the earlier voices of ʻOumuamua and Borisov. Each time the mathematics shouted louder. Each eccentricity greater than 1 was a signal. Each excess velocity was a letter in a growing script. Humanity was learning to read, to see warnings not in fire in the sky, but in the language of mechanics itself. And there is a profound humility in this realization. The universe does not conspire to send messages. It does not aim debris at Earth to awaken fear or wonder. Yet in the curves of its orbits, in the inevitability of its equations, meaning emerges. Science becomes philosophy. The mathematics of warning becomes a reflection of the human condition itself. We are a species that listens to numbers as though they were voices. We are a species that finds prophecy in eccentricity. Consider the image of space-time as a vast ocean. Stars are islands, their gravity forming whirlpools and eddies. Planets swirl like fish bound to the currents, but occasionally a fragment escapes its island, cast into the open sea. It drifts across the currents of the galaxy until by chance it brushes another shore. When such a fragment appears in the solar system, its mathematics reveals the story instantly. Its speed, its curve, its defiance of capture all betray its foreign origin. The ocean speaks through motion. The equations translate. For astronomers, the warning is not only that interstellar visitors exist. It is that their discovery is only the beginning. Each new arrival will be measured, charted, dissected by mathematics. Each will confirm the same truth. The solar system is not alone. Its boundaries are open, its history entangled with countless others, and so the question lingers. Was the warning always mathematical? Did the equations of Newton and Einstein already foretell this reality? Long before telescopes caught ʻOumuamua or Borisov or Atlas, the mathematics already said such visitors must exist. If the galaxy is vast, if stars form and die, if planets collide and comets scatter, then fragments must cross between them. The equations contained this inevitability all along. Humanity simply had to wait until its instruments were sharp enough to see. This transforms the concept of prophecy. In earlier ages, prophecy was spoken by priests or carved into myth. In the modern age, prophecy is written in mathematics. When an astronomer calculates eccentricity, when they trace velocity, they are reading a script older than language itself. They are seeing into the future not by visions, but by inevitability. Atlas was not a surprise to the mathematics. It was an inevitability. The only surprise was that humanity was ready to notice. In the great silence of the cosmos, there is always a voice. But it does not cry out like thunder. It whispers in data. Every night, machines stand sentinel beneath the turning sky. The Atlas survey on Hawaii's volcanic slopes. The Pan-STARRS telescopes with their wide-field eyes. The NEOWISE mission, orbiting above Earth with infrared vision sharp enough to see the faint heat of distant comets. Together, they form a network of vigilance, not built to marvel but to protect. They watch for the wanderers that could one day threaten Earth. Yet in their constant watching, they also catch glimpses of strangers from beyond. The discovery of 3i Atlas was born from this patient routine. It did not blaze into awareness with sudden brilliance. It appeared first as a faint point in a catalog, a line of data indistinguishable from countless others. Only when its path was computed, only when the mathematics was allowed to speak did its foreign nature emerge. But after its identity was revealed, astronomers turned back through the archives. They asked, had it been seen before? Had some earlier trace already passed across a detector unnoticed, filed away as noise? Again and again, this is the pattern of discovery. The present reveals the significance of what the past recorded blindly. Such archival hunts have become common in astronomy. Pan-STARRS images, spanning years, contain within them thousands of faint streaks, some never recognized until new objects are announced. NEOWISE, designed originally as an infrared telescope to map the sky, continues to reveal asteroids and comets long after its prime mission. The sky is filled with ghosts of data, patterns too faint to matter at the time, suddenly made meaningful in retrospect. For 3i Atlas, the search was the same. Once the hyperbolic orbit was known, astronomers combed through stored images to extend its arc backward. Each earlier sighting stretched the timeline, refined the orbit, strengthened the certainty that it was interstellar. What began as a few dots of light became a story with continuity, a path traced across months of sky. And in this process, a deeper truth emerged. The warnings were not absent. They were present in silence, hidden in the noise of the data all along. Humanity had recorded the visitor before it was recognized. The cosmos had already spoken, but the message had not yet been heard. There is something profoundly humbling in this realization. For all the power of telescopes, for all the sophistication of algorithms, most of the sky remains unseen. Surveys map vast fields, but their eyes cannot linger on every point. The flood of data is too immense for human minds to parse in real time. Only after the fact, when an anomaly is revealed, does the significance rise from the noise. This fragility of perception is not new. History shows it again and again. The faint smudge that would become Andromeda, once catalogued as a nebula, ignored for centuries before it was recognized as an island universe. The radio hiss discovered by Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, first dismissed as noise, before it was revealed as the afterglow of the Big Bang. Again and again, warnings and revelations have existed in silence until retrospect gave them meaning. The same holds for 3i Atlas. Its voice was in the data long before the mind knew to listen. The numbers were there, patient and indifferent. Only the act of recognition transformed them into a message. There is a philosophical weight to this. Warnings in nature are rarely clear. Earthquakes rumble long after their first tremors. Storms build far from the shores they will one day strike. In the cosmos, the warnings are fainter still. A distant point of light, moving against the fixed stars, carrying within it the story of another system's ruin. If humanity cannot see it until too late, is it the cosmos that fails to warn, or the species that fails to perceive? Survey science itself reveals the scale of this blindness. Even with the most advanced instruments, the fraction of the sky truly watched is small. Telescopes like Pan-STARRS can sweep vast regions, but their cadence leaves gaps. NEOWISE detects heat signatures, but its sensitivity limits what can be seen. Atlas, scanning for near-Earth asteroids, captures the sky in repeated frames, yet its resolution cannot grasp every faint intruder. At best, humanity has a fragmented net cast across an ocean too large to measure. In this ocean, the majority of visitors pass unseen. Astronomers know this not by guess, but by statistics. If 3 interstellar objects have been detected in just a handful of years, the implied population drifting through the galaxy must be enormous. Most never flare brightly enough to be caught. Most are never flagged from noise to signal. Humanity sees only the rare few that pass through the narrow cone of attention. This is the paradox. The cosmos is full of voices, yet only silence is heard until chance draws attention. And when recognition comes, it feels like prophecy fulfilled, though it is only the rearrangement of what was always present. The fragility of perception extends beyond machines. Human vision itself evolved to see only a narrow band of light, tuned for survival beneath Earth's skies. The ultraviolet, the infrared, the radio waves, all pass unseen until technology extends awareness. Even then, technology itself must be directed, must be told where to look, what to notice. Without intention, the signals remain unrecognized. The visitor remains anonymous. So the story of 3i Atlas is not only about a single object crossing the solar system. It is about humanity learning to listen in new ways, about recognizing that the sky is filled with signals waiting to be interpreted, that warnings often exist not in shouts but in silences. The image is haunting. A telescope captures a frame of stars. Among them is a point of light that shifts ever so slightly from night to night. It is cataloged, archived, forgotten. Months later, after the orbit is computed, astronomers return to that frame and realize the truth. The visitor was there all along. The cosmos had placed its message in plain sight, and it was ignored until the moment of recognition. This reflection stretches into philosophy. Perhaps warnings in life are always like this. They come quietly, disguised as background noise, overlooked until retrospect draws them into focus. The lesson is not that the cosmos failed to signal. It is that perception is fragile, and meaning requires patience. The case of 3i Atlas underscores this fragility with urgency. If the species cannot see the faint arrivals until after they pass, what greater visitors might slip unnoticed? What greater signals might remain buried in archives, waiting for an eye sharp enough to decode them? And yet there is hope in this as well. The act of recognition itself is progress. The very fact that humanity can return to the data and find the faint traces of Atlas shows that perception is expanding. Each discovery strengthens the net. Each recognition sharpens the tools. In time, what was once noise becomes voice. Astronomy has always been an act of retrospective discovery. The light from stars carries histories already complete, events that happened millions or billions of years ago. Every telescope is a time machine, showing the past rather than the present. In this sense, all warnings from the cosmos are retrospective. They tell of events long gone, fragments long cast adrift. Humanity is always late to the message, always interpreting after the fact. But this lateness does not diminish the meaning. It intensifies it. To glimpse Atlas at all is to intercept a fragment of another world's history, carried across light years and revealed in a moment of fleeting brilliance. To find its trace in archived data is to realize that the cosmos had been whispering long before the mind was ready to hear. The silence of the sky is not empty. It is filled with information, with faint voices waiting to be recognized. The background noise of the universe is itself a library. Within it lie warnings, revelations, and connections to other worlds. Humanity's task is not to demand louder voices, but to learn how to listen more deeply. And so, in the story of 3i Atlas, the voice in the data is as important as the object itself. The warning did not arrive as a fiery omen. It arrived as eccentricity calculated from faint points of light. It arrived as velocity measured from archival frames. It arrived as silence transformed into signal. The fragility of perception remains the greatest challenge. The cosmos is vast, the data endless, the signals faint. Yet each discovery reveals that meaning has always been present. The warning has always been written in the sky. Humanity must simply learn how to read it. In this there is a kind of grace. The universe does not hide. It speaks constantly, through light, through motion, through the quiet presence of wanderers drifting past the sun. The silence is only human, a silence born of unprepared ears. But with each new survey, with each archive reopened, the silence becomes thinner. The voice grows clearer. Atlas was not the first, and it will not be the last. Its voice joined a chorus already unfolding. ʻOumuamua, Borisov, Atlas. Each added their whisper to the data, each transformed noise into revelation, and each reminded humanity of the same truth. The sky is never still, never empty, never silent. The warnings are there, waiting, hidden until the moment of recognition. The question lingered like a shadow behind every calculation. Was Three-Eye Atlas nothing more than an icy fragment cast adrift by chance? Or was it something more? A messenger, carrying with it the possibility of meaning beyond nature's blind hand. The naturalist view is the anchor, the position most scientists lean toward. In this interpretation, Three-Eye Atlas is the remnant of a distant system. Somewhere, light years away, a planetesimal belt fractured, or a cometary cloud was disturbed by the gravity of passing stars. From that disruption, fragments were flung outward. One such fragment traveled across the void for millions of years until it brushed past the solar system. Its hyperbolic path, its fading light, all spoke to a body too fragile to survive the sun's heat. Like cometary shards observed closer to home, it disintegrated as it neared the furnace. This explanation holds elegance in its simplicity. It requires no intention, only the restless physics of stars and gravity, and yet mystery clings to such objects. ʻOumuamua, the first interstellar visitor, still defies complete explanation. Its acceleration without a visible tail, its elongated shape, its odd reflectivity, all unsettled the certainty of natural classification. Borisov reassured by looking like a comet, but Atlas once again seemed fragile, ambiguous, and strange. Each object blurs the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, pushing the imagination toward questions science cannot yet resolve. It is here that speculation rises. Could an object like Atlas be a signal? Not deliberate, perhaps, but accidental. A fragment of a technology long dead, or a vessel abandoned by its makers. In the silence of interstellar space, any artifact would travel unimpeded, crossing light years without decay. If civilizations exist beyond Earth, the debris of their work may already be drifting among the stars, indistinguishable at first glance from natural shards. The possibility is unsettling because it cannot be dismissed entirely. Stephen Hawking once warned of the dangers of first contact. He imagined a scenario not of discovery, but of peril. Humanity reaching out to a civilization far older and far more powerful, only to realize too late the consequences of being noticed. For Hawking, the caution was clear. The cosmos is not necessarily friendly, and ignorance may sometimes be safer than curiosity. In this light, the warning is not from Atlas itself, but from what it represents. Each interstellar visitor reminds humanity that it is not alone in the galaxy. If fragments can travel here, then so too could intentions. This idea ties into an older speculation, one that spans both science and philosophy, panspermia. The theory that life might travel across worlds, carried by comets and interstellar debris, seeding new environments with the chemistry of existence. In this view, fragments like Atlas are not empty rocks, but potential vessels of biology. Frozen microbes locked in ice, drifting for eons until a world with warmth and oceans receives them. Earth itself might have been seeded in such a way. If so, interstellar objects are not merely curiosities. They are carriers of life's continuity, stitching together the galaxy in a hidden web of biology. The thought blurs the line between nature and messenger. A comet fragment carrying microbial seeds is natural, yet also purposeful in effect. It delivers something across the abyss, even if blindly. For those who look upward, the symbolism is impossible to ignore. The stranger from interstellar space could be no more than ice and dust, or it could be the silent agent of a biological chain older than the Earth itself. Speculation stretches further. Could such objects represent not biology but technology? ʻOumuamua's acceleration without tailing gas sparked theories of solar sails. Thin sheets propelled by starlight, the very concept that human engineers have only begun to test. A fragment mistaken for a comet might in truth be a relic of design, drifting long after its makers vanished. To dismiss the idea outright is to forget how little is known of the galaxy's contents. Here, imagination wrestles with caution. To indulge in visions of alien technology is to risk leaving the ground of science. Yet to ignore the possibility is to deny the history of discovery, where yesterday's impossibilities become today's certainties. A century ago, the idea of detecting planets around other stars was speculative fiction. Today, thousands of exoplanets are cataloged, with atmospheres beginning to be probed for traces of water and carbon dioxide. The line between imagination and science is not a wall but a frontier, always moving. And so, 3i Atlas became a canvas for this frontier. To most, it remained a natural cometary fragment. To some, it hinted at a deeper possibility. A signal, perhaps not intentional, but nonetheless meaningful. A reminder that fragments from beyond will continue to arrive, and with them, the question of their nature. The emotional pull of this duality is powerful. On one side lies comfort. Atlas is nature, and nature is familiar. It is ice, dust, and gravity, obeying equations that can be solved. On the other side lies unease. Atlas is a messenger, and messengers imply origin. To call something a messenger is to admit the possibility of intent, and with intent comes the shadow of encounter. The tension is not easily resolved. In every telescope frame, Atlas remained only a dim smudge of light, slipping across the stars. No clear evidence of technology, no undeniable trace of biology. Yet its orbit, its timing, its fragile disintegration all left space for questions. In the silence, interpretation filled the gap. The debate itself reveals more about humanity than about Atlas. It shows the hunger to assign meaning, the instinct to seek messages in the unfamiliar. The cosmos does not conspire to send signs, yet the human mind is drawn to see them. This instinct is ancient, shaped by millennia of survival, when interpreting omens in the natural world meant life or death. The same instinct now projects meaning onto interstellar visitors. Perhaps this is folly. Perhaps it is foresight. For if the galaxy is alive with civilizations, then fragments of their existence may already be moving among the stars. Relics, signals, or debris, indistinguishable from nature until studied in detail. If the galaxy is silent, then Atlas is still no less profound. It is proof that fragments cross between stars, that the solar system is open to the rest of the galaxy. In both cases, the meaning is unsettling. Humanity is not alone, either in presence or in vulnerability. Stephen Hawking's warning returns here with sharper clarity. The danger may not lie in the object itself, but in how humanity responds. To see Atlas as a messenger is to open the door to interpretation. To act upon that interpretation, to seek contact or to dismiss caution, is a choice that shapes the future. Perhaps the warning of Atlas is not about its nature at all, but about the fragility of response. Theories of panspermia remind us that even without intention, interstellar objects may carry consequence. Alien technology analogies remind us that even without certainty, possibility must be considered. Between these extremes lies the thin line of cautionary foresight. Humanity must balance imagination with restraint, wonder with vigilance. The question remains unanswered. Was Atlas nature or messenger? Perhaps it was only nature, a comet broken loose, fragile and fading. Perhaps it was messenger, carrying with it the shadow of meaning. Or perhaps, as with so many cosmic mysteries, it was both. Nature provides the vessel. Humanity provides the message. The truth lies in the meeting of the two. In the end, what Atlas revealed was not certainty, but reflection. The reflection that the cosmos is stranger than expected, that fragments travel across gulfs too vast to imagine, that meaning may exist even when intent does not. The warning, if one exists, is less about what Atlas was, and more about what it represents. That the galaxy is open, that the solar system is porous, that visitors from beyond will come again. To stand beneath the stars and contemplate this is to feel the pull of two emotions. Awe at the immensity of nature and the possibility of connection. Dread at the fragility of understanding and the risks of interpretation. Between these emotions lies the human response to interstellar visitors. Between these emotions lies the story of Atlas. There are times when the most profound warnings do not come from objects in the sky, but from the minds that tried to understand them. Long before 3i Atlas cut its brief line through the solar system, two voices had already spoken of the dangers and the mysteries that such encounters would awaken. One was Albert Einstein. The other, Stephen Hawking. Einstein's gift was to reshape the very stage upon which all cosmic journeys unfold. Where Newton saw forces pulling at bodies, Einstein saw the bending of space-time itself. Mass and energy told the fabric of the universe how to curve. In turn, the curves of space-time told planets, comets, and interstellar wanderers how to move. This vision transformed orbital mechanics from a clockwork of invisible strings into a landscape of invisible valleys and peaks. Stars carved wells into space-time. Planets traced their orbits by rolling along the warped fabric. Light itself could bend, pulled not by force, but by geometry. It is within this framework that objects like Atlas are truly understood. Its hyperbolic trajectory was not simply an escape from the sun's gravity. It was a path carved across a curved geometry, one that had begun in a distant system and would never close. Its speed, its defiance of capture, all reflected the invisible shape of space-time beneath it. Einstein's equations, scribbled a century earlier, became the lens through which astronomers could read the object's passage. They revealed not only that it was interstellar, but that such journeys were inevitable. In a galaxy of countless stars, each bending space-time in its own domain, fragments would always be flung into the void, to cross and recross the curvatures of others. But Einstein's framework did more than explain motion. It revealed limits. Relativity showed that information cannot outrun light, that the universe imposes boundaries on what can be known, how quickly it can be known, and how far signals can reach. In this sense, Atlas carried a double message. Its trajectory could be predicted with exquisite precision, but its origin, its history, its nature, these lay beyond the limits of knowledge. The equations could draw the path. They could not reveal the intent, and here, the shadow of Hawking emerges. If Einstein revealed the geometry of inevitability, Hawking spoke of the danger of interpretation. He warned of first contact, of humanity's fragile position in a galaxy that may be populated by civilizations far older and more powerful. His words were not directed at a specific object like Atlas, but at the human instinct to see messengers in the unknown. We only have to look at ourselves, he wrote, to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet. To Hawking, the greatest risk was not silence in the cosmos, but what might happen if silence were broken, placed together. The voices of Einstein and Hawking feel like prophecies of two kinds, one mathematical, one philosophical. Einstein showed that the sky would inevitably deliver strangers, cast from other systems. Hawking warned that humanity's response to such strangers must be tempered by humility and caution. Both spoke long before Atlas, yet their words frame its story as though anticipating it. Was this then the true warning? Not the fading light of a fragile cometary body, but the echoes of two minds who understood the stakes. Einstein, reminding humanity of its limits before the vast curves of space-time. Hawking, reminding it of its vulnerability before the unknown intentions of intelligence. Atlas became a test not only of telescopes, but of philosophy. Science itself admits its boundaries here. The trajectory of Atlas could be plotted with precision, down to fractions of a degree. Its eccentricity, its velocity, its fading light curve, all could be described with confidence. But what the numbers meant, beyond the mechanical, lay outside certainty. Was it ice? Was it messenger? Was it nature or artifact? No calculation could resolve this fully. Predictive science excels at the physical. It falters at the intentional. This is the heart of the shadow that Einstein and Hawking cast. The recognition that knowledge has edges, and beyond those edges lies interpretation. The warning is not only that humanity cannot predict when the next interstellar object will arrive. The deeper warning is that even when it does, knowledge will remain partial. The path can be calculated. The meaning cannot. There is a humility in this that echoes across centuries of astronomy. Kepler described the heavens as the geometry of God, yet admitted that his own models were imperfect. Newton revealed the universal law of gravity, yet left open the mystery of why mass should attract at all. Einstein bent the very stage of space-time, yet left unsolved the quantum fabric beneath it. Hawking extended relativity into the abyss of black holes, yet confessed that singularities expose the limits of understanding. Each step forward illuminated the universe, but each illumination also revealed how much more lies in shadow. In this way, Atlas stands as an emblem. Its existence was predicted in principle by Einstein's space-time and Newton's mechanics. Its risks and implications were foreshadowed by Hawking's warnings about contact and caution. The true message of Atlas may not be its physical nature, but its place within this lineage of thought. A reminder that humanity is always interpreting within limits. A reminder that warnings are not always physical signals, but philosophical boundaries. Consider again the image of Atlas slipping past the sun. To the mathematician, its curve is inevitable, a geodesic carved into space-time. To the philosopher, its presence is a question. What does it mean to live in a galaxy where such visitors exist? To the dreamer, it is a messenger, deliberate or accidental, a sign of connection beyond the stars. And to the cautious, it is a reminder of Hawking's warning that contact may bring peril greater than wonder. Perhaps the greatest warnings are not the objects themselves, but the frameworks within which they are understood. Einstein warned that no matter how advanced the equations, the universe imposes limits. Hawking warned that no matter how advanced the science, interpretation can lead to danger. The combination of these voices is more haunting than any fragment of rock. Together they whisper that humility is the only safe path. For in truth, the cosmos does not deliver clear messages. It delivers fragments. Fragments of light. Fragments of motion. Fragments of possibility. The rest is filled in by human minds. The danger is not only that fragments may be misunderstood, but that humanity may act upon misunderstanding. Einstein's equations protect against error in motion. Hawking's words warn against error in meaning. Both must be remembered, or the next encounter may reveal more about human folly than about cosmic truth. So perhaps the shadow cast by Einstein and Hawking is itself the warning. It stretches across every telescope image, every trajectory plotted, every whisper of speculation about alien intent. The warning that certainty is an illusion. The warning that humility is survival. Atlas faint and fragile came and went. But in its passing, it reminded humanity of the voices that had already spoken. Einstein bending the stage of space-time. Hawking cautioning against reckless contact. Their warnings remain more durable than the comet itself. They will outlast the fragments. They will guide the interpretations of those still to come. The lesson is simple but heavy. Science can chart the path. Philosophy must chart the response. Without both, the arrival of each interstellar visitor will bring not clarity, but confusion. Without both, the warnings written into the cosmos will be missed, or worse, misread. And so, as Earth spins beneath the silent stars, the shadow of Einstein and Hawking lingers. A reminder that the truest warnings may not be found in the sky, but in the humility of thought. Mars has always been more than a planet. To human eyes, it is a mirror. The red spark in the night sky, glowing faintly yet fiercely, has long carried meanings beyond its orbit. To ancient astronomers, it was the harbinger of war, a restless wanderer among the stars. To modern science, it is the next shore, the place where robotic emissaries dig and drill in search of water and memory. And now, through the trajectory of 3i Atlas, Mars becomes something stranger still, a threshold between the known and the unknown. As astronomers plotted the course of 3i Atlas, the numbers revealed a haunting alignment. Its path through the solar system carried it close to the orbit of Mars. Not close enough to strike, not close enough for capture, but close enough to stir questions. Coincidence, perhaps? After all, the galaxy is vast, and countless trajectories intersect planetary orbits by chance. Yet the human mind cannot resist asking, was there design in this? Was Mars chosen, or did it simply stand as sentinel along a random road? From a strictly scientific view, planetary encounters are the currency of orbital dynamics. Every object that passes through the solar system runs the gauntlet of planetary fields. Comets from the Oort cloud swing near Jupiter, their fates decided by the giant's enormous gravity. Asteroids shift and scatter under Mars's pull. For interstellar objects like Atlas, the mathematics of probability says the same. Passing near a planetary orbit is not unusual. With 8 planets tracing vast loops around the sun, most inbound trajectories will brush at least one of these paths. Yet the alignment with Mars carries a weight beyond the mathematical. For in this era, Mars is not just another planet. It is the focal point of human ambition. Rovers crawl its surface, searching for biosignatures in the dust. Orbiters map its atmosphere, measuring traces of methane that hint at unseen processes. Plans for future human missions are drawn again and again, each imagining boots pressing into the red regolith. Mars is the testing ground, the proving stage, the place where humanity rehearses its future among the stars. Into this context came Atlas, a traveler from another system, its fading arc intersecting the realm of Mars. The symbolism is hard to ignore. As humanity peers outward, Mars has become the first step beyond Earth. And as the cosmos sends inward a fragment from elsewhere, it too passes near Mars, as though meeting humanity at this shared threshold. The probability may be coincidence, but coincidence does not erase meaning. It is not the cosmos that assigns symbolism, but the human mind. And to that mind, Mars as a sentinel feels fitting. If any planet were to serve as stage for encounters with alien messengers, it would be the Red World. Neither as remote as Jupiter, nor as hidden as Neptune, Mars stands close enough for intimate study, yet distant enough to represent otherness. Its desert plains, its silent volcanoes, its frozen poles, all seem prepared for stories larger than themselves. The numbers themselves are precise. Atlas traced its hyperbolic arc, sweeping past the sun and outward again, crossing the space where Mars moves. No collision, no capture, only a brush, a near neighboring of paths separated by millions of kilometers. Yet in cosmic scale, such proximity is remarkable. For an object cast from another star to slice through the solar system and pass near the orbit of humanity's second home is a reminder of the strange intersections that define the universe. This raised questions among astronomers and philosophers alike. Could the trajectory of Atlas have been shaped by interactions before arrival? Perhaps a gravitational assist from a star in its native system, or a planetary encounter long ago, sent it precisely along this course. Perhaps its alignment with Mars is nothing more than chance geometry written across millions of years. Yet chance does not strip away wonder. If anything, it deepens it. For randomness can sometimes feel more mysterious than intention, its meaning arising not from design but from improbable beauty. Still, the speculation persists. Could Mars itself be sentinel? Could it be that the first interstellar messengers humanity notices would pass there, near the one world that has always carried the weight of expectation? The thought is poetic, not scientific, yet it lingers. Mars is already the meeting place of myth and science. To imagine it as the crossroads where interstellar objects appear is to extend that symbolism further. Consider the imagery. The red planet, lifeless yet alluring, stands as stage. Upon that stage passes a fragment from another star, a traveler that humanity can only watch, never touch. The two align not by will but by physics. Yet to human imagination it feels like performance. The actor enters, walks across the scene, and exits into darkness. The audience is left to wonder at the meaning of the play. This reflection deepens when placed within the broader story of exploration. For decades, Mars has been humanity's proving ground for contact with the unknown. Viking landers searching for life, Curiosity drilling ancient rocks, Perseverance storing samples for future return. Each mission is a dialogue with silence, a question posed to a world that has not yet answered. Into this dialogue came Atlas, passing nearby, as though echoing the question in another form. If life exists, if messages can be carried, if connections across systems are real, then Mars may be the place where humanity first confronts them. Planetary encounter probabilities provide the scientific foundation for this imagery. When comets arrive, they are often perturbed by Jupiter's gravity, their orbits reshaped dramatically. Smaller planets like Mars exert less force, but they still define corridors of possibility. An interstellar object passing through the solar system may have its path slightly altered, its velocity nudged. In the case of Atlas, the effect was minimal, but the symbolic weight was vast. Its proximity to Mars made it not only a scientific curiosity, but a philosophical mirror. For in the end, the meaning of such encounters lies not in mathematics alone, but in reflection. Humanity looks at Atlas and asks whether coincidence hides deeper connection. Humanity looks at Mars and asks whether it is not merely a planet, but a stage prepared for encounters that reshape destiny. These questions may not be answered by telescopes or equations. They belong to the human imagination, the realm where science and story converge. Mars as sentinel is more than metaphor. It reflects the way thresholds function in human thought. Every culture, every era, places its mysteries at the borderlands, the edges of maps, the horizons of oceans, the distant hills that conceal new worlds. Mars is that borderland in space, the line between Earth and the stars. And Atlas, by passing there, became a symbol of the encounters waiting at thresholds. The emotional pull of this vision is strong. To picture the red desert world, silent and ancient, as the place where humanity first witnesses interstellar visitors, is to feel the gravity of destiny. Whether or not coincidence, the symbolism resonates. Mars is the place where imagination has always turned, the place where science has always prepared to land, the place where fragments from beyond now pass, reminding humanity that exploration is never isolated. Perhaps this is the true threshold. Not physical, but conceptual. Mars, with its barren plains and faint atmosphere, is not yet inhabited by humanity, but it is inhabited by meaning. It is the place where scientific curiosity and cosmic encounter meet. The place where questions of coincidence and design are asked most loudly. Atlas's path will not return. It has already slipped back into the deep night, carrying its secrets beyond reach. But the memory of its trajectory lingers. A fragment from another star brushed near the orbit of Mars. And in that passing, it left humanity with questions that no calculation can resolve. Was it coincidence? Almost certainly. Was it design? Almost certainly not. Yet the symbolism remains. The red planet as sentinel. The interstellar traveler as actor. The solar system as stage. and humanity standing in the audience, watching, wondering, and preparing for the next play. For there will be another. Somewhere in the galaxy, even now, another fragment is on its way, another messenger of nature or chance, drifting along the unseen curves of space-time. And perhaps when it arrives, its path too will brush near Mars, as though reminding humanity again of where its future begins. Until then, the red planet waits, silent, patient, a world of dust and memory, standing at the threshold of human destiny. And in its skies, the echoes of Atlas still linger, a reminder that the line between coincidence and design is as thin as the space between stars. Warnings are not simple things. They do not arrive clean and clear, labeled with their meaning. They arrive in fragments, in whispers, in moments that invite interpretation. The cosmos does not send messages in words, but humanity, restless and searching, reads meaning into silence. From the beginning, people have interpreted the sky through the lens of fear and myth. When a comet appeared suddenly, blazing across the night, it was rarely treated as coincidence. It was omen. It was sign. The death of kings, the fall of empires, the outbreak of plague, all were linked to the streak of light that disrupted the familiar constellations. The heavens were not indifferent in these stories. They were alive with intention, a theater where the fates announced themselves. This instinct has never truly faded. Even now, with equations to describe orbits and spectrographs to dissect light, unease lingers when something foreign arrives. ʻOumuamua unsettled because it did not behave as expected. Borisov reassured only because it looked like something already known. Atlas stirred both feelings at once, fragile and enigmatic, neither fully ordinary nor fully alien. Science stripped away the language of omens, yet the undercurrent of myth remained. Psychologists speak of pattern recognition as a survival tool. To find meaning in the rustle of leaves, to see danger in the shadow, is to prepare for threats before they strike. Over time, this instinct extended to the sky itself. The stars became guides for seasons. Comets became warnings of disruption. Warnings in this sense are mirrors. They reflect less about the event itself and more about the mind interpreting it. Science has labored to strip away this instinct. It speaks of eccentricity, of velocity, of probability. It assures that comets and interstellar fragments are products of natural law, not divine intention. And yet the unease remains. When an object like Atlas passes through, it is not only data that is received, it is also reflection. Humanity is forced to see itself in its reaction. Fear, curiosity, hope, dread, all surface as though summoned by the object, though in truth they come from within. This is the deeper meaning of warnings. They are not simply alerts of external threat. They are mirrors of internal state. What humanity sees in the sky reveals what it believes about itself. In the age of kings, comets meant the fragility of power. In the age of science, interstellar objects mean the fragility of knowledge. Each discovery forces the same confrontation, that humans are smaller than they believed, more vulnerable, less central. The warning, then, is not that a fragment has entered the solar system. The warning is that the human story is part of something vaster, indifferent to human meaning. This confrontation reshapes identity. Every discovery in the cosmos has done so. When Copernicus placed the sun at the center, the Earth was dethroned. When Darwin traced life's lineage, humanity's uniqueness was challenged. When Hubble revealed galaxies beyond the Milky Way, the scale of existence multiplied beyond comprehension. Each time the warning was the same: you are not what you thought you were. You are smaller, more connected, more fragile. Interstellar objects like Atlas continue this lineage. They remind humanity that the solar system is not a sealed system. It is permeable, open to exchange, vulnerable to visitors. They remind humanity that the story of Earth is not isolated. It is entangled with the stories of countless other stars. The warning is not only about what may come, but about what it means to exist in such a universe. There is a paradox in this. Science strips away myth to reveal mechanics, yet the unease remains because mechanics themselves are humbling. A hyperbolic orbit is not omen, yet it is reminder. It reminds that fragments cross between systems endlessly, that the solar system is not an island but a node in a galactic web. It reminds that the forces shaping the cosmos are vast, blind, and impartial. This impartiality itself feels like warning. Not because it threatens directly, but because it exposes vulnerability. Warnings in the cosmos are rarely explicit. They are not written for humanity. They are revealed by interpretation. A faint point of light becomes message only when the mind sees its significance. In this way, every warning is double-edged. It tells something of the universe, but it tells more of the interpreter. Atlas warned that interstellar fragments exist and will continue to arrive. But the deeper warning was how quickly human thought filled the silence with meaning, natural or messenger, coincidence or design, omen or data. The object itself remained indifferent. The warning was born in the act of seeing. This suggests that perhaps the greatest warnings are philosophical, not physical. They are not about collision or impact, but about perspective. To glimpse Atlas was to be reminded of humanity's fragile position in the galaxy. To speculate about its nature was to confront the limits of knowledge. To wonder about its meaning was to reveal the tendency to project human fears and hopes onto the cosmos. These are not physical threats. They are existential. They are warnings that reshape identity, not landscapes. And yet identity shapes survival. How humanity interprets warnings determines how it responds. To see omens in comets once led kings to alter wars and policies. To see data in interstellar objects now leads scientists to build better surveys, stronger telescopes, faster methods of detection. Each interpretation shapes action. The question is not whether the cosmos sends warnings, but whether humanity interprets them wisely. Philosophically, warnings serve as thresholds. They mark the boundary between comfort and discomfort, between what is known and what is not. They draw attention to vulnerability, to fragility, to the illusion of certainty. Atlas, fleeting and fragile, embodied this threshold. It was small, dim, unthreatening, yet it carried with it the weight of disquiet. It reminded humanity that the solar system is not sealed, that visitors can and do arrive unannounced. It forced reflection not only on the cosmos, but on how humans construct meaning in the face of the unknown. The psychology of warnings is thus a mirror. When fear dominates, warnings become omens of doom. When curiosity prevails, warnings become invitations to learn. When humility leads, warnings become lessons in scale and connection. Atlas reflected all three. To some, it was cause for fear. What else might be out there, unseen, on collision courses? To others, it was wonder, a fragment from another star, a chance to glimpse the galactic sea. To still others, it was lesson, a reminder that humanity stands small and fragile on a planet open to the currents of the universe. In this way, Atlas becomes not only an object of science, but an object of philosophy. Its warning is not about what it was, but about what it revealed. That human perception is fragile. That meaning is projected. That identity is reshaped by every discovery. These are warnings not of doom, but of humility, and humility may be the most important warning of all. For it guards against arrogance, against the presumption that humanity is central, protected, immune. It reminds that survival depends on awareness, on the willingness to see not only the cosmos, but the self reflected within it. Atlas carried no voice, no intention, yet it forced humanity to listen to itself, to hear the echoes of fear and wonder that arose in its own response. The true meaning of warnings, then, may not lie in the universe at all. They lie in mirrors. They lie in the way humanity interprets signs, in the way it assigns meaning to silence. Every fragment from beyond, every signal in data, every anomaly in motion, all become warnings because they reveal more of the observer than of the observed. Atlas will not return. Its orbit carries it back into the interstellar dark, its fragments fading, its light diminishing beyond reach. But the warning it left behind does not fade. It lingers in thought, in reflection, in the realization that the sky does not speak in words, yet humanity cannot help but hear. The warning is not that danger is near. The warning is that meaning itself is fragile, that identity is mutable, that perspective is the truest mirror. And in this mirror, humanity glimpses both its vulnerability and its potential. For warnings are not only about fear, they are also about preparation. They are signals to adapt, to grow, to see more clearly. Atlas may have been nothing more than ice and dust. Yet in the way it was received, it became something more. A reflection, a question, a reminder that the universe will continue to deliver fragments and humanity will continue to see itself in them. The cosmos does not warn. It moves, it releases fragments, it curves space-time. It shines and collapses and evolves. The warnings are born in the act of recognition. They are born in the minds that see and wonder. And in that sense, every discovery is a warning. Every new object, every new signal is a chance to reflect on what it means to be human in a universe that will never explain itself. Perhaps this is the truest warning of all, that the universe is silent, that it does not send messages, that the messages come from us, projected onto fragments of rock and ice. And yet, in those projections, meaning is made, meaning that shapes identity, meaning that guides survival, meaning that transforms silence into story. So the question is not whether Atlas was a warning. The question is what the warning revealed about those who saw it. The story of Three-Eye Atlas does not end with its fading light. It continues in the gaze it left behind. For once such a visitor has been seen, the sky is never the same again. Humanity learns that interstellar travelers are real, that they pass through the solar system without warning, and that they vanish just as quickly. The only response possible is vigilance. Across the world, new instruments are being prepared to extend this vigilance into the future. Chief among them is the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, perched in the high deserts of Chile. When its wide eye opens fully, it will map the sky with a depth and frequency never before achieved. Its mission is not limited to interstellar objects, yet they will be among the treasures it uncovers. By scanning the entire visible sky every few nights, Rubin will create a living movie of the heavens, a record in which every moving point can be traced, every anomaly caught before it slips away. Where once Atlas appeared briefly and left astronomers scrambling to piece together its story, the future will bring a net fine enough to catch such wanderers in detail. Other surveys join this expansion. Pan-STARRS continues to sweep the skies from Hawaii, its wide fields cataloging countless moving bodies. NEOWISE, extending its mission far beyond its original purpose, detects the faint infrared glow of comets and asteroids, including those too dim to reflect much sunlight. New instruments are being designed to cover wavelengths and regions left unseen, from radar to radio to ultraviolet. Together, they form not only a scientific enterprise, but something more, a watchfulness that feels almost devotional. The act of watching the sky has always carried this dual meaning. In ancient times, it was prayer, an attempt to divine intention from the stars, to read fate in their alignments. In modern times, it is science, an attempt to extract knowledge from data, to read motion in numbers. Yet the posture is the same. Eyes turned upward, minds waiting for messages, hands building tools to hear what otherwise would pass unnoticed. The line between science and prayer blurs when the silence of the cosmos is so vast, and the act of looking feels both rational and reverent. Was this vigilance itself the response to a cosmic warning? Perhaps not consciously, but each discovery nudges humanity toward greater readiness. ʻOumuamua startled, Borisov confirmed, Atlas reminded. Each demanded sharper tools, faster responses, deeper archives. The warning was not doom, The warning was humility. The warning was that the galaxy is restless, and that only by watching closely can humanity hope to see its passing fragments. The lessons of Atlas echo throughout the scientific community. The first is readiness. Observations must be fast, coordinated, global. An object arriving at hyperbolic speed does not linger. To study it requires telescopes turning within hours, data shared across continents, instruments tuned to capture fleeting signatures. Atlas taught that hesitation is loss, that the window for discovery is measured in days, not years. The second lesson is humility. No matter how advanced the instruments, most of the sky remains unseen. Even now, objects pass unnoticed, their warnings unrecorded. Atlas itself was first glimpsed faintly, almost lost to noise, recognized only because astronomers had been prepared by earlier discoveries. The humility lies in admitting how much is missed, how thin the net truly is. To acknowledge this is not failure, but truth, and truth is the foundation of science. The third lesson is curiosity. To see a fragment from another star is to be reminded that the solar system is not isolated. It is part of a galactic web in which matter flows across light years, carrying with it stories of other suns. Each visitor is a puzzle piece. Its spectrum, its orbit, its fading light all contain information about the system it came from, the processes that expelled it, the time it has drifted. Curiosity demands that these fragments be studied, for they are messengers not of intention, but of origin. They are samples delivered freely, clues scattered across the stars. The vigilance that now grows is more than technical. It is cultural. It reflects a species beginning to understand its place in a larger whole. Watching the sky is no longer just about protection from asteroids, nor about curiosity alone. It is about presence. To be aware of one's surroundings, to see what comes and goes, is to exist fully in the universe. To look away is to remain blind. To watch is to belong. This belonging carries with it an emotional weight. For when humanity builds these instruments, it is not only measuring, it is also confessing. Confessing that the sky is too vast to be mastered, that vigilance is never complete, that understanding is always fragile. In this way, every telescope dome, every satellite, every detector becomes more than a machine. It becomes a shrine to awareness, a gesture of reverence toward the cosmos. The Vera Rubin Observatory embodies this gesture in stone and glass. Its surveys will generate petabytes of data, mapping the heavens with unprecedented fidelity. Yet beneath the technical ambition lies a deeper posture, the willingness to watch without knowing what will be found. The readiness to discover not only what is expected, but what is unforeseen. This is the essence of vigilance, not prediction, but openness. The readiness to be surprised. In the story of Atlas, this openness is the final response. The object came, fragile and fleeting. It left behind no certain meaning, but it changed the way humanity looks at the sky. It reminded that discovery is not only about finding answers, but about creating the capacity to hear questions. The vigilance that follows is itself both science and prayer. Science because it seeks data and explanation. Prayer because it admits awe and humility. And perhaps this is what warnings truly become. Not alarms of danger, but invitations to vigilance. Not omens of doom, but reminders to remain attentive. The cosmos does not shout. It moves, it whispers, it reveals in fragments. To respond is to build instruments, to train eyes, to keep listening. The act of watching itself becomes the lesson. Each night telescopes turn. Each dawn, data flows into servers. Each frame captured is a small defiance of blindness, a statement that humanity will not look away. It is both science and ritual, both measurement and devotion, a way of saying, we are here, and we are paying attention. Atlas has long since vanished, slipping back into the dark sea between stars. But its trace remains in memory, in archives, in equations, and more importantly, it remains in the vigilance it inspired. Humanity watches now with sharper eyes, wider nets, deeper humility. The warning has become watchfulness. The warning has become presence. And so the story closes not with fear, but with reverence. The sky is filled with silence, but silence is not emptiness. It is filled with voices waiting to be heard, fragments waiting to be seen. By watching, humanity participates in this silence, turning it into dialogue. Not dialogue with intent, but dialogue with existence itself. To watch is to learn. To watch is to belong. To watch is to admit that survival is not guaranteed, that knowledge is fragile, that meaning must be sought. The act of watching is itself both science and prayer, a gesture of humility beneath the vastness of stars, a promise to remain awake in the face of mystery. What if the universe had whispered a warning long before humanity could hear it? That question opened the story of Three-Eye Atlas. Now at the close, the question remains, but the answer has shifted. Perhaps the universe never warned at all. Perhaps humanity was only learning to listen. The journey of Atlas was brief. A faint traveler from another star system, noticed only because telescopes had grown sharp enough, because curiosity had been trained by earlier visitors, because the mind was finally ready to recognize what once would have been overlooked. Its passage was random, yet its impact was profound. For in its fragile arc through the solar system, it carried no message, yet left behind meaning. This is the paradox of cosmic humility. Earth spins within the vast ocean of space, fragile as a single drop, balanced between warmth and cold. It is not center. It is not special. It is one oasis in an infinite tide. The arrival of interstellar fragments like Atlas drives this truth deeper. They are reminders that the solar system is porous, that its boundaries are not walls but shores, washed constantly by currents from beyond. Humanity lives on a world that is open to the galaxy, whether ready or not. In this openness lies fragility. The warning is not of doom, but of scale. A fragment arrives, brushes past, vanishes into the night. Its meaning comes not from its intent, but from the reflection it awakens. To stand beneath the stars and know that a piece of another sun has just passed near Mars is to feel both wonder and smallness. The cosmos does not bend toward human meaning, yet in its silence meaning arises. Atlas becomes symbol. For some it is randomness, the blind throw of celestial mechanics, a shard cast adrift by the violence of distant stars. For others it is intention, a messenger, deliberate or accidental, carrying possibility across gulfs of time. For still others, it is omen, a modern echo of ancient fears that the heavens announce themselves in moments of disruption. But in every case, it is meaning. Its physical form may be ice and dust, but its legacy is interpretation. This legacy is not external. It is internal. The warning was never written into the object. It was written into the human response. Atlas revealed that humanity is not yet accustomed to its place in the galaxy. Each discovery still unsettles identity, still reminds that the story of Earth is not isolated. The cosmos does not single out one planet for warning, yet the act of seeing such a fragment forces humanity to confront responsibility. Responsibility to understand, to prepare, to accept fragility with humility. In this way, the meaning of Atlas stretches far beyond its orbit. It is a mirror. It reflects the tendency to assign meaning to silence, to weave stories around fragments, to turn data into prophecy. And in this weaving lies both risk and beauty. Risk because meaning can mislead. Beauty because meaning gives shape to survival. Without reflection, discoveries would be numbers alone. With reflection, they become lessons. The lesson of Atlas is humility. Not fear, not doom, but recognition. Recognition that the galaxy is restless, that fragments will always cross paths, that Earth is vulnerable, and that survival depends on vigilance. Recognition that meaning comes not from the cosmos, but from the human act of listening. In this light, warnings themselves transform. They are not external signals. They are internal realizations. The universe does not warn. It simply is. Yet when fragments arrive, when equations reveal eccentricities greater than one, when orbits betray origins beyond the sun, humanity interprets. The warning is the act of interpretation, the reflection of fragility. The cosmos remains indifferent, but in its indifference, humanity hears echoes of responsibility. This is why the story returns to humility. Earth is not central. Humanity is not unique. The stars do not arrange themselves for human meaning. Yet the very ability to recognize this is profound. The ability to look at a fragment like Atlas and understand its scale, its journey, its implications. This is the essence of science and philosophy combined. It is not about answers. It is about awareness, and so the final reflection lingers. The cosmos does not warn. It does not send omens. It does not shape its motions to guide or threaten. It simply moves. Stars are born. Planets collide. Fragments drift. Across billions of years, paths cross. Atlas was one such path, a brief visitor brushing through the solar system. Its meaning was not in itself, but in what it revealed of the human condition. In the silence of its passing, humanity confronted fragility. Fragility of perception, fragility of knowledge, fragility of survival. And in that fragility lay responsibility. To watch more carefully, to imagine more deeply, to live with humility in a universe that will never explain itself. The story closes as it began, with a question. Was the universe warning us? Or were we simply learning to listen? The answer may be both or neither, but the act of asking is itself the legacy of Atlas. Beneath the canopy of stars, Earth continues to spin, a fragile oasis in a tide too vast to measure. Around it, telescopes turn, data flows, questions deepen. Somewhere beyond sight, another fragment is already on its way. It will arrive unannounced. It will vanish just as quickly. And in its passing, humanity will again confront silence, again weave meaning, again reflect on its place in the cosmic ocean. The cosmos does not warn. It simply is. Yet in its silence, humanity hears the echo of its own fragility and the whisper of its responsibility.